Hello everybody, and welcome back to the Salt Lake City Snowhawks expansion franchise here on Madden 25. We're kicking it off here in year 5, that's right. We're already in year 5 of this expansion franchise, and our Snowhawks come off an NFC championship. We blew a 17-0 lead in the Super Bowl at the hands of the Buffalo Bills. As we strengthened our team in the offseason, we signed 20 free agents to really fill out the depth spots and role players on this team, but that was headlined by Humphrey, the top center in the NFL, along with Terrion Arnold, as we pair him with superstar corner Nathan Scruggs. As our team is looking better than ever, we're more confident, and I think we're in line to get back to the big game as we are now officially underway here in year 5, as we are going to kick it off here in the preseason against the New York Jets. The Jets come off a bottom tier season last year. I think we're a third in the AFC East. Robert Saleh is still the head coach there, and how fitting their quarterback by the name of Madden, and that's David Madden, a third-year man out of Nevada, former second-round pick, was the AFC Offensive Rookie of the Year going back to his rookie season, and he has since had an up-and-down play here. He's really working on consistency now, a third-year player. Zach Wilson is the backup. He spent a year as the backup in Denver, went to Buffalo for a season, and has since found his way back to the New York Jets, as that's Braylon Trice in on the stop free agent signing from the Atlanta Falcons. We're hoping he can take some of the pass rush production that was left behind by Joey Bosa, who signed with the Giants, and also Andrew Van Ginkel, as Madden there on the drop back does have a man that's tight end, and that goes for 7 yards. I think that was Trice again on the hit, as we are going to follow some sort of structure. We'll figure that out as we go here in the preseason, but we're not going to watch everything, obviously, as our defense gets the job done, forces a 3 and out. There's Caleb Patton in on the pressure. Now our top defensive tackle, after Darius Robinson left in free agency, he signed with the New England Patriots, as they were the bottom team last year in the AFC East. And that's a booming punt, as that'll be fair caught at the 23-yard line. We're not going to play many starters in this game. Starting at quarterback in this one was free agent signing Aiden O'Connell. He expressed a lot of interest in joining our team, so we figured we'd bring him on as an experienced quarterback in our quarterback room. We currently have, of course, franchise quarterback Lucas McDonald now into his 4th season, along with Chris Woodard, a third-year quarterback that we drafted in the 5th round a few years ago. But here's Aiden O'Connell, of course, former Las Vegas Raider out of Purdue, his first drop back, and he's just going to rip that to the sideline. Took a hit, as our interior blocking was not great there. Sauce Gardner still along the ride here with the New York Jets, along with Quinnen Williams, as of course in present day they were traded. I believe also Jermaine Johnson, he was traded as well, but still on the Jets in this franchise. And now on second down, we'll probably sim a lot in this first game, but we'll see how it goes. O'Connell there has a man open. That's Darnell Washington, a huge reception out of the gate. That one's going to go for 35 yards, 36 yards, as he's picking up where he left off. Darnell Washington had a very strong run during our playoff run this past postseason. Look at him just towering over the DB there on the New York Jets, but O'Connell there showing some good poise, and he finds a man. Washington just wide open there going towards the sideline. I guess a mismatch there against the safety, as we're now here into Jets territory. The Jets 8-9 last season, but they were 14-3 going back to year 2 of this franchise. I think Justin Fields was the quarterback at that point. As that time, a short one there for Drew Collins, second-year man out of Texas A&M. Didn't really see the field much as a rookie, but we did draft him in the 3rd round going back to the year 3 offseason. Drafted 3 wide receivers that year, including Carlos Alvarez in the 1st round. And there goes Washington in motion. O'Connell, they're going to check it there for Carson Steele. We brought him in from the Chiefs. That one going to go for nothing. Took me a second to recognize him. A lot of new faces on this year 5 Snowhawks roster, as we're now building it up through our own draft picks. O'Connell there had a man open, but that was at the feet of Collins, which will bring on a 53-yard field goal attempt. We did sign Will Reichert, 2-time Pro Bowler, as he is on for the kick here. His first attempt as a member of the Snowhawks, as that one is up. It looks like it's pretty good there, as that is down the middle. So 3-0 here early on, and now we'll sim a couple drives and work our way through this first preseason game. And we are only doing 8-minute quarters here in the preseason. We're going to try and work ahead pretty fast here, as David Madden there hooks up for 14. Breece Hall, the running back here, X Factor. Now with 3rd and 13, there's Michael Carter making a play against his former team. 3rd and long. We get the sack there. That's Ruke or Horhoro. We missed out on a lot of defensive tackles there in free agency, so he's kind of like a plan C, but we like the upside he presents, as he's making an early impact in this game, as we take over now at the 30-yard line. See if we can get some more points here. 9 yards there again for Darnell Washington. He's really solidifying himself as a great tight end too behind Mark Andrews there on 3rd and 1. We get 5 yards from Carson Steele and then 11 yards to the aforementioned Carlos Alvarez, over 1,100 yards in his rookie season. And now on a 3rd and 5, it didn't show what we had. Now going to be a 4th and 1, so another 53-yard field goal attempt. As that one was Todd Hayes this time, he misses it. So with the quarter change now into the second quarter, they did go to the second strings here, which we are going to pay more attention to in this preseason. Pay attention to some of these rookies, undrafted guys, depth players playing for a roster spot. So now Zach Wilson out there, as I said, he found his way back to the Jets after a short stint in Denver, short stint in Buffalo, as he hooks up with a man over the middle on his first pass attempt. That one a big gain, going to go for 33 yards, I believe. And that was Pete Werner, linebacker we signed from the Saints, just kind of lost there in coverage, taking some time to get acclimated to the concepts on this defense as the Jets make a change there. A lot of tight ends on the field this time as they do go for the run, and that's snuffed out all the way by rookie Randy Fisher, 2nd-round pick out of UCLA, came in as a 75 overall, and he's making an injury as well there on the Jets running back. I'm not sure who that is at this point for them, but we like to see the rookie making a big play, drawing the run back too. Going to be a run-stopping specialist, has to improve a little bit as a pass rusher. We just see a good pull move from him, though, if you're watching him on the defensive line at number 93. And then a good makeup play there from Pete Werner as he was in on that pass and forcing that one incomplete. So now a 3rd and long for the Jets as they are set up for a good field goal attempt here, though. Zach Wilson running to his left, being chased by Alfonso Truman. He was a late-stage free agent signing as he gets the pressure the quarterback hit, and that forces the 43-yard field goal attempt. So they couldn't really make much out of that first big hit through the air as now trying to tie it up here. The kick is up from the right hash, and that one is good. We're all knotted up here from Salt Lake City. So now at quarterback for the Snowhawks is Chris Woodard. We saw him once last season during the regular season. He came on for the injured Lucas McDonald in a game against the Los Angeles Rams that eventually went to overtime. We did lose it. We had Joshua Carty as our kicker. He missed a potential game-winning field goal from 53, and then we cut him right after the game. There's Dre Patton, the 6th-round pick out of Butler. He came back with 95 speed, very dynamic with the ball in his hands, and we'll try to get him going a little bit more here. And now Woodard on another drop back. Has a man there, he finds him, and that's going to go across midfield all the way down to the 41-yard line. That one for 16 yards. That's Kentrell Bibbs, I think 3rd-year tight end now out of Penn State from our 1st or 2nd draft class. He's just been buried on the depth chart, mostly a practice squad guy, but in line to be our 3rd tight end this season. As Woodard there off the fake again, going to find Dre Patton, his 2nd already, that one for 7, as he's jarring it up there with the Jets DBs. Now here's 2nd and 3 at the 34. Woodard has just shown a lot of poise and comfortability running our offense in a limited sample size, as he has a man over the middle of the field. That's Matthews, a 5th or 6th round pick from last year at Oklahoma State, 6'6", 210-pound receiver with like 93 speed, good change of direction, as well as we do get the first down there on the ground game. That was Sean James, running back out of Hawaii, who the Jets traded us last year, along with a pick for Jack Gibbons, linebacker. Now fresh set of downs, Woodard trying to go up the seam, and that's knocked down. And now 4:20 left in the first half of play. Woodard rolling to the left, going to check it down as that goes for Golston, and that'll be 6 yards, 7 yards. Dorian Golston, 3rd-year running back, former undrafted free agent, trying to, again, earn a roster spot. Although we have a deeper backfield than we did last preseason, despite cutting Christian McCaffrey. And there goes Woodard finding Kentrell Bibbs, his 2nd catch on this drive, now inside the 10. A couple big plays for the tight end trying to earn a roster spot. As we also have Chauncey Washington, 2nd-year man out of Georgia. He was huge last preseason, as he is in contention, but maybe he just ends up on the practice squad as Woodard there trying to go for Dre Patton, as he couldn't make that catch through double coverage. 2nd and goal now at the 8, following the incompletion. Woodard has a man there being very decisive, as that'll get about 5. Now up to the 3-yard line, 3rd and goal. And we are going to throw it here. Woodard rolling to the right, setting. And what was that? The field goal is good. That was a weird one if you saw what just happened there. He was not even where he was trying to throw it, but a weird glitch, as we'll bring on Todd Hayes for his 2nd field goal attempt. This one from 20, so he missed from 53, but you would think he can make this one from 20, as that one is up, and it is good. So the Snowhawks retake the lead. Battle of the field goal so far, in week 1 of the year 5 preseason. And we will just go ahead and simulate the rest of the half. See if the Jets can muster a late rally here. As we get the interception, Michael Carter II, we signed him to be our slot corner. Ended up drafting Dakota at 31 overall to compete for that spot. But Michael Carter II, an impact play there against his former team. As we are set up now in the red zone. And we give it right back to them. Quincy Williams gonna get the answer. So now the Jets, we trade interceptions after trading some field goals. And the Jets now post 2-minute warning. There's Marquise Brown on 3rd and 4, incomplete, so we are going to get the ball back with some time. Starting at the 27 with 70 seconds. We get 7 yards there again for Patton, 15 yards again for Bibbs. So Bibbs and Patton making plays. Marvin Harrison Jr., I'm not sure why he's out there, but he gets 14. And then 13 for Eddie Matthews. We talked about him, 6'6" receiver out of Oklahoma State. And then we get 13 back for Bibbs. He's like just tearing it up now into the final like 10 seconds or so. And we're not going to get a field goal. We get a completion there, 8 yards for Patton down to the 3 as time does run out on that first half. So poor clock management as we're stranded inside the 5 there with nothing to show for it. And we do start with the ball to start this second half, up 6-3. We'll keep Woodard out probably for the rest of this game. We'll give O'Connell a little more snaps in the second week as a nice run off the rip there. We'll get 14 there for Manny Reynolds, 6th round pick out of California. He was a projected undrafted free agent, but we just absolutely loved his combination of speed and strength. Also some good change of direction, agility to go along with it. So the total package there, and we drafted him, I think it was like 50 spots ahead of where he was valued in true value. We'll give it right back to him, and so get 5. Reynolds really battling with Carson Steele for a spot on the roster as our power back. As again, we'll feed Reynolds that time. Tracked down in the backfield, -1. And that was Jarius Gresham, rookie linebacker, 3rd round pick, came back with hidden development there for the Jets. As Woodard there going to find a man, although we do not get the forward progress, so probably going to punt it. And here is Logan Cook. We'll get a look at him, a free agent signing to upgrade our special teams unit, as Matt Ariza just didn't really get the job done last year. And that one was almost a coffin corner, but does go back for the touchback. So we'll get another look here at Zach Wilson. And after this drive, we will sim ahead a little bit further and get through this first game there towards the sideline. That's dropped a little offline. Now 2nd down. Salt Lake City does send some pressure. Wilson, that one knocked down. Good job. That's Dakota Michaels, 31st overall pick. Safety from Texas Tech, who are trying to fill that void at slot corner. But he is going to have to battle against Michael Carter II. But either way, both are going to get snaps. And Michaels probably will get more down the line as Zach Wilson threading the needle there between split coverage. That's Braxton Morant, 2nd round pick out of Miami, as he looks to be a very good wide receiver for the Jets. Came back with like 75, 76 overall, as he's there to beat a man up the seam. And he looks to be a future #1 receiver for the Jets alongside Garrett Wilson. And now this time directly under center. Less than 5 minutes left in the 3rd. Quick drop back there as he does go for the check down. And again, that's Dakota Michaels in on the hit, 5-yard gain. Now up to the 43-yard line. Wilson, another quick drop back, rolling to the left. Now back the other way, and eventually just does throw that one away. Now 3rd and 5. We'll see if the defense can get the stop here. Again, we send a blitz as Wilson had a man. I'm not sure if we were able to knock that down. It's Ben Amaro, defensive end, dropping back into coverage over the middle of the field. We don't really see that much. As again, like we did with Logan Cook, we'll check out a Jets punt here. As we do have a couple guys vying for a return spot, including Dre Patton, who we saw make a bunch of catches already in this game. But again, a fair catch, as that was Patton there on the punt return. And back again, Chris Woodard getting a ton of reps in this game. As like I said, I think he looks very comfortable running the offense. So if he comes back as our quarterback 2, beating out O'Donnell, I would not mind that. There's Eddie Matthews, 20 yards deep down the field. We get 7 yards there for Chauncey Washington, a reserve tight end, trying to earn a spot. And then he gets 13 on the very next play. Now incomplete. And it looks like Woodard again going to be intercepted. So I've been talking about how good he's been, but now in this game, 2 interceptions. We haven't really seen him turn the ball over much going back to last preseason. And there the Jets do get a 1st down now into Salt Lake City territory as a pass knocked away by Alfonso Truman. Pass rusher we saw had a quarterback hit earlier. And there's Ben Amaro, just made that play in coverage, and now he records the sack. He was huge in last preseason, and looks like he will be part of our D-end rotation this year. They get 8 there on 3rd and 18, but not quite enough. But enough for Cam Little to strike from 57, as we know he has a power leg there tying it up. as it's going to be a 6-6 ball game now. We will simulate this next drive and then probably watch the remainder, or close to it at least, as on 3rd and 8 we don't get anything, so we do have to punt back to the Jets, as that does go for a touchback. So now a tie game here, 7:14 left, and we'll see how we can play it out from here. 2 turnovers from our Snowhawks, as now Wilson on the drop back has a man there, and that's, I think, just out of the reach or knocked away. I'm not sure quite what happened there. Again, Dakota Michaels in on the play, as he's been in on a lot of them, for better or for worse. And now there goes Zach Wilson again, just going to check it down. As Deshaun Gross and 7th round pick Damian Simmons teaming up on that stop. Now make it 3rd and short for Wilson and the Jets. From the pocket, and he has a man there towards the sideline. Good catch, just gets the first down. And now Wilson again. Going towards the sideline, has a man, and that one is going to go for 14. Zach Wilson looking pretty good so far, but we're just waiting on the interception. And again, just attacking these guys over the middle of the field, streaking towards the sideline, as we're now into the final 5. Zach Wilson, heavy drop back this time, being chased by Randy Fisher, the rookie out of UCLA, not known for his pass rush ability, but has good speed, good strength, and that time able to work past the offensive line and track down Zach Wilson. Very good pursuit, though. I mean, he's definitely known for his run-stopping abilities, non-stop motor. And look at the offensive lineman just way behind him. Fisher just leaving him in his dust. And he had that TFL earlier, now getting home for the sack. And he plans on making a big impact along there with Ruke Orhoro, our big defensive tackle additions after the departure of Darius Robinson. Wilson there to the near sideline again, and not really going to get much. But behind them, we also have Caleb Patton, who is our defensive tackle 1 now, as he's in line for a huge season. Had 3 sacks against the Eagles last year in the NFC Championship. Now trying a little screen there, as that doesn't go for anything. So it's going to be 4th and 20, and the Jets shank a punt. So we are going to take over now at the 31-yard line. Let's see if Woodard can overcome those 2 interceptions as his first pass attempt of this drive. He does find a man there, and that goes to midfield. That's Nichols, Will Nichols, a 2nd-year undrafted free agent out of Miami. He's really battling with Dorian Golston as a reserve 3rd down back role behind Vince Willis, who he signed to a 2-year extension over the offseason. Now here at the logo, as we hit the 3-minute mark here in the first game of the preseason. There's Golston now, the guy battling for that job, as he does get a positive gain, but likely going to come back to a hold, as that was the case. So now 1st and 17, as that obviously does back us up quite a bit. Woodard from the pocket. We had a nice pancake there on the offensive line, and that one at the feet of his target. There goes Washington in motion, as Woodard over the middle of the field does find him. That gets 7, bringing up a 3rd and 10. Now here on 3rd down from the 50, Woodard going to check it down, and that is not going to be quite enough, as we only get 5 there from Manny Reynolds. Nate Landman, he had that interception, now has that stop, as that will bring us to the 2-minute warning, as it looks like we are going to punt now. The Jets had another chance to take the late lead. Tremendous punt by Logan Cook, goes out at the 6-yard line, so the Jets, they're back against the wall. Hopefully we can get home on a safety here to walk it off. As Wilson, 2nd option there, and that's almost picked off by Deshaun Gross, undercutting that 2nd-year linebacker out of Arizona State, as we hope he can emerge in a expanded role this season. He had superstar development as a rookie, but that regressed all the way down to normal as we hit the offseason. Not sure what happened there. Zach Wilson now taking a shot there, sails out of bounds. Dak Kitchens in on the coverage, his 4th year, part of our inaugural draft class, 3rd-round pick that year out of Oklahoma, as our run defense all over at that time. Deshaun Gross leading the charge. Brings us to 1:43 now remaining. We do call our first timeout, so again, the offense a chance to take the lead here, as we are going to get a return as well from Patton, as he'll take that to the 46. And there you see the stat line for Chris Woodard, 20 out of 30 for a solid 66%, 209 passing, but those 2 interceptions, obviously killer, but it does not matter if you're able to come away with the win and lead this late drive with very good starting field position, as we have, 94 seconds left. Does have a man there, and that's open and caught by Chauncey Washington. I mentioned he was huge in the last preseason and already making a big impact in this one. I think his 4th or 5th catch already, as he's there on the corner route working against the linebacker, and then also had safety help there, but beats both of them, as the Jets do call a timeout, so we are in field goal range. It's going to be Todd Hayes for the potential game winner, as we give there for Manny Reynolds, and he gets 7. Jets burn another timeout, and now 1:26 left. Back for Reynolds on the counter, and so shimmy along the offensive line to the edge. Really doesn't get anything as the Jets burn their final timeout, so probably going to run it here, I would hope. I don't know if anyone saw the Super Bowl episode. We were up by 5 points with like a minute left at the 1-yard line. We threw an interception and would lose the game. And now we do go back for the run. Not going to center it, though. I'm going to get a lot more, as that's Manny Reynolds butting off a lot more than he can chew with 22 yards to the house. We were just going for the center there just to line up a field goal, but Manny Reynolds taking matters into his own hands, hitting the home run as his first career touchdown. Of course, just preseason touchdown, but that makes us proud as one of our guys. We sought out as a projected undrafted guy, but we ended up drafting him in the 6th round because we just liked what we saw on tape. We liked how he performed at the combine, and of course he performed well in interviews as well. So our first touchdown of this year 5 season goes to 6th round pick Manny Reynolds out of California. And now 77 seconds remaining. We'll see if the Jets can answer. All right, defense, one more time. We just got to get a stop here. Let's get another Randy Fisher sack. Zach Wilson here on the first drop back, almost sacked there from the backside by Ben Amaro, bending the edge really well there, showing some good short area quickness to corner. And Amaro, like last preseason, already making an impact. And now 2nd down here. Wilson from the pocket, again being rushed by Fisher, who just bursted through the interior. Big hit there on Wilson, as he was able to get rid of that. Fisher looking like a seasoned veteran out there. Did have the A play rec, I believe, B awareness, or that was vice versa, but either way, veteran savvy to him is Amaro that was getting on the hit to Sean Gross, able to jar that one loose on the intended target. So we're just flying all over the ball right now on defense. That was Braxton Morant, 2nd round rookie out of Miami. Again, I said he had hidden development. Looks to be a very good receiver down the line. And now Wilson here on 4th down, trying to keep him alive to the sideline. And that's going to be Michael Carter II, had the interception earlier. And there comes in on the stop to really seal this game, as we were undefeated last preseason, 3-0 in last preseason, as we now are looking to extend that preseason winning streak to 4 games, as Chris Woodard able to do enough here down the line to get us the victory. But more so, it was the efforts there of Manny Reynolds, who I think was the star on the offensive side of the ball. Although, I mean, Woodard was solid despite those 2 interceptions. We had some big hits there from Chauncey Washington, Kentrell Bibbs, as our reserve tight ends making a big impact, along with Eddie Matthews, receiver from Oklahoma State, who we want to see a little bit more this season, as Chris Woodard there for the final kneel in this one, as our Snowhawks now 1-0 in this Year 5 preseason. Some good efforts, but we're going to try and condense this episode as we'll jump right into the next game. But a 13-6 win here to start, and that's exactly what you want to see. As we're now here in Houston for a tussle with the Texans, we're now underway now in Week 2 of this Year 5 preseason. Our Snowhawks at 1-0. The Texans did lose their first time out. Now on the opening return, a good broken tackle there, as they'll take over at the 29-yard line. C.J. Stroud leading the charge here, as the Texans have won 3 of the 4 division titles there in the AFC South over the course of this franchise. Their roster, for the most part, has remained intact, not much of a reshape, as Stroud is now one of the top quarterbacks in all of the NFL, up to 97 overall, and so he'll start directly under center. And I think the starters in this game are going to get the whole entire first half reps, and then they'll go to the second strings after that. But we did adjust our lineups a little bit, so we're going to see some new faces in this one. And we're also going to see Taylor Goddard, our defensive end out of Tennessee, 1st round pick. We traded up to 21 with the Green Bay Packers for him. Look out for him, number 50 at defensive end. And there's Matthew Torrance. We didn't see him at all in the first game, getting in on the backfield. Our 3rd-year safety now out of Auburn does have superstar development. So 3 out of the 4 starters in our defensive backfield are of superstar development now, with the addition of Terrion Arnold and Nathan Scruggs, who we drafted in the 2nd round as well. And there's a sack there. Good spin move by Ricardo Chambers. We saw Alfonso Truman making an impact in the last game, but Chambers was another one of those late free agency additions we made just to add another defensive end, give us some more depth there after we lost a couple of key guys. So again, our defense starts with a 3-and-out as a good punt there, and that'll be taken at about the 32-yard line by Dre Patton up to the 37. So we're going to see a little bit more of Aiden O'Connell in this one. He was decent in the last game, albeit in a small sample size, but this game we're going to just simulate a little bit quicker. So we'll watch the first drive for each side, then sim ahead towards the end of the 2nd quarter, and probably get one more look at these units. As O'Connell, his first pass attempt there through traffic, was able to get caught there by Eddie Matthews, using that big frame to assert himself to the ball. And you like to see that. You always like to see the receivers attacking the ball, not letting it get to him. And O'Connell in the pocket, second read there towards the sideline, connects with Golston, but only for 2. Now on 3rd and 2, 5 minutes left in this first quarter. Aiden O'Connell delay give there for Golston as he does fight ahead for the first down. Daniil Hunter in on the stop. Fresh set now up to the 47. Carson Steele the back. We'll see a little bit more of him in this game, as he will get the call at the middle. Carson Steele trucking ahead gets 3. After what we saw from Manny Reynolds in that first game, I feel like I'm hard-pressed to keep him off the roster, but we'll see how the rest of the preseason goes, as Carson Steele can't really get anything going there, lost at 2. And we didn't give much guaranteed money to Steele, so if we prefer Reynolds and it comes down to one or the other, we could always just cut Carson Steele as Aiden O'Connell trying to shuffle up in the pocket. And there's Will Anderson Jr., one of the top pass rushers in the NFL. So we will take back to the sim now and try to work through this Week 2 matchup. Next week, we do have the Cleveland Browns in our preseason finale, as Tyshawn Gross there knocks away a pass to force a 3rd down, as that's incomplete. So again, we force a 3-and-out on defense. Our offense will take over now at the 28 as we start incomplete. Now 2nd and 10. We get 2 yards from Steele. And there was a penalty against the offense there. Karan Amagaji battling for a depth spot there at offensive tackle. Signed him to a low guaranteed contract as past free agency. So 3rd and 13 and we get incomplete. So again, we are going to punt. Each side just punting a bunch. Logan Cook all the way down to the 3-yard line. So he's been phenomenal already, I think, in these first 5 quarters or so of the preseason. And it's going to be a 2nd and 7 to open the second quarter. Just a few there on the run. So 3rd and 5. And they get 27 there to Luke Day, last year's first-round pick out of Alabama. Ended up missing his entire rookie season with a torn ACL that he suffered in the preseason. So hopefully he can stay healthy for them. Now on 3rd and 2, they do get the first down. So moving the ball here are the Texans. Another 6 yards, 3rd and 2, and they get 2 yards from Travis Gordon, their starting running back, and that brings up 4th and inches from the 25. So what are they going to do? They do go for it on 4th down. They get the conversion, and then 13 yards to Tank Dell now at the 10. Make it 2nd and goal after an incompletion, 3rd and goal after an incompletion. They get the 10-yard touchdown pass there for Luke Day. I mentioned he missed his entire rookie year with that torn ACL, so we are going to get the ball back now at the 30-yard line with 3:04 left in this first half of play. We'll see what we can get going here. We need some points. Only 11 total yards in this first half so far. Texans able to get a good drive going that time after our defense was looking good early on. O'Connell there, plenty of time to throw as he does find a man there at the sideline. That's Eddie Matthews. So this will probably be our last look at O'Connell in this game. It'll probably be Chris Woodard from here on out as Dorian Golston, his second carry, gets the first down. As that does bring us to the 2-minute warning. So now 1st and 10 here at the 41. Closing out this first half, O'Connell there towards the sideline has a man open. That's a good one there. A 20-yard hook up there with Drew Collins. We talked about him a little bit in the first game. 2nd-year wide receiver out of Texas A&M. 3rd-round pick. We drafted 3 receivers last year. Eddie Matthews we've seen a couple times already. He was one of them. Along with Carlos Alvarez, we drafted him 23rd overall out of Florida State. Luke Day, who we've been talking about for the Texans, he was also in consideration at that pick, as Carson Steele does catch that one, but a loss on the play. There goes Bibbs in motion back the other way. Now O'Connell backtracking, does have an option there, and that's Kentrell Bibbs. That'll go for 9 yards. 3rd and 1 coming up at the 29. Still all our timeouts left now into the final 45 seconds here. And again, there's Bibbs in motion back the other way. O'Connell. And that one misses Drew Collins there at his feet. So it looks like we will just bring out the field goal unit. We will just simulate it, as it'll be a 46-yarder, and that is good from Will Reichert. So 7-3 now. We'll just simulate into the second half, as again, we'll get the first look at each side of the ball here to start, and then simulate a little bit and try and get out of this one a little bit quicker as we head into the final week of the preseason. And of course, we'll get through our cuts in this episode, as a good return there from Dre Patton. I think I am preferring him over the other guy we signed. I forget his name at this point. Really haven't seen him much, but Dre Patton has certainly had some flashes, as we're now back out on offense. 7-3 game here. The Texans leading as we go to the ground game and get 1. That was Sean James battling for a roster spot here. Pretty stacked running back group we have this preseason. And now Woodard on 2nd and 9. A little offline that time. Intended target was Dontavion Wicks. Not quite sure why he's out there. We might have to make some adjustments. I know, even though we had it set how we think it's going to put it, They always throw the starters out there. Now Woodard, nowhere to go as they sent the blitz, and he's racked up for the sack. That's Roman Oliver, rookie out of Michigan. 3rd round pick who we did have on our board. And he comes through, makes the big play. We think he'll be a solid player here for Houston. As now that's Davenport on for the punt this time. Unless they just kept cooking there. I can't really tell who that was. As a good one all the way down to the 17. Now let's see how the defense can do to open the half. We're still waiting for Taylor Goddard to make a play as he's now up there at the right end position going up against number 73 there. Being held up, although does finally get off the block. But a good hit that time from, I think that's Ketrell Clark. We didn't see him at all in the first game, as he was out with an injury. And, I'm sorry, that was Malik Mustafa, but back to Clark, though. Missing even one game here when you're battling for a spot can prove to be critical, as there's Corey Wilson, undrafted free agent out of Florida. We are very thin at defensive tackle, so we're hoping either he or Brian Valentine, 2 UDFAs we brought in, can emerge as our 4th string defensive tackle. Good play that time. Definitely will keep us on notice now as we get back in the backfield. That's a fumble into the end zone, and that's going to be scooped up for the touchdown. He forces the sack and scoops it up. That's Drew Gilmore, Doug Gilmore. I'm sorry, Dom Gilmore, one of those names, as he does get the scoop and score essentially off his own sack. What a play that time, as there was Goddard there in the backfield, but just kind of deer in headlights stopped for some reason. I guess allowing Gilmore to get the sack, even scooping it up as well. So we could not get anything going offensively for a touchdown, but our defense getting it done as the extra point now up and good. And for Dom Gilmore, I think his 2nd or 3rd year after being drafted in the 5th round at a UTEP, trying to earn his first roster spot on the 53-man. And now just to keep the pace here, we'll sim ahead another drive aside here, as the Texans trying to answer off the turnover that ended up in a touchdown. They do get a 1st down. Davis Mills, the quarterback now, as he is still the backup to CJ Stroud. And now a quick drive being strung together here, 3rd and 1 at the 21, and they do get the 1st down now inside the red zone as they trail 10-7. Now inside the 10, 3rd and inches incomplete, so we'll see if they just go for the tie here on 4th and inches. And they do go for the field goal, but it's blocked. Oh my goodness, I wonder who blocked that one. We got to go to the stats here and see if it's going to show up in the box score. That is just crazy play in the preseason. We're talking about getting noticed. Certainly a blocked field goal will get you noticed. We'll see if it shows up here. And it was Dom Gilmore. He just had that scoop and score off his own sack, and now he blocks the field goal. And I'm going to say that's enough just to get him onto the 53-man roster, as he makes 2 huge plays in succession. Alone, he pretty much swings at 10 points with a touchdown he generated, and then a blocked field goal. That is actually insane. Dom Gilmore coming up big, as we'll now sim ahead an offensive drive that's 17 yards through the air for Sean James, running back trying to earn a spot. And now we had a 3rd down, but it just went to 1st down, so I guess we did convert, as now Sean James on the ground gets 5. He gets another 5. Now 3rd and 1, as we do get a 1st down. We'll give him 2 yards that time for James. Now 2nd and 10 at the 25. Trying to get some insurance here. Now 3rd down, and we get the conversion. Sean James, 13 yards through the air. He had a 17-yard reception earlier, then a bunch of carries, as we're now set up at the 13. But another Will Anderson sack here. Why is he still out on the field? 2nd and 17. Then we get 12 yards for Sean James. Is he our only player on offense right now? And then we get 7 yards for Bibbs down to the 1-yard line, 1st and goal. And we get the touchdown there for Chauncey Washington, as that makes it 17-7, or correction, 16-7, as they have a blocked extra point now. This game is just turning out to be extremely wacky, as we have 4:28 remaining. It is a 2-possession game, so we can feel a little bit more comfortable here, but we will check out the remainder in this one. Leading by 9 points, Davis Mills, the quarterback right now for the Texans, over the middle, has a man wide open, as that will get the 1st down. But Dom Gilmore, talk about making your presence known, as he still is out there, number 91 at left end, now being double teamed, or they had the tight end helping out, and then he releases, and he makes the catch, gets 8. Now on 2nd and 2, they're going fast pace now. Davis Mills down the field, incomplete. Now make it a 3rd and 2. Setting pressure here, Salt Lake City to get the screen off. Good counter there on the play call up the sideline. That's going to pick up, I think, 13 yards, as Houston Texans stay alive here, moving the chains. Keeping up that no-huddle offense. Davis Mills has a man, but knocked out through the contact. Could not hang on. Man in motion there out of the backfield, out wide now. as Mills is in the empty set. On the drop back over the middle, has a man open, but that's knocked out. Good play there by 23. I'm not sure who that is. Still getting acclimated with some of these newer players we have on the roster. And now on third down, Mills going to be sacked, and that's Randy Fisher. Who else? He had a huge sack in that first preseason game, and now a big one here, making it 4th and 17. As Mills going to take a deep shot, and that's going to be knocked down. We had a couple guys there in coverage. That's Seth Phillips, a 7th-round pick from last year who spent the season on the practice squad. And we'll just get one last look at the offense here as well, as we will give for Sean James a one-man wrecking crew his last time out. Good gain up the middle that time for 8. I was going to throw Manny Reynolds back out there, but Sean James is just tearing it up, so we'll see what he can do here. We haven't seen him in the live gameplay, just on the Sims. As now trying to shuffle along the line, wrapped up for the loss. The Texans do call their first timeout, so we now are still pre-2-minute warning here at 2:03 remaining in this game. Here on 3rd and 5 from the 50, Woodard rolling to the right, just backtracking, and he goes back 14 yards, a long ways. As a little counterproductive on that one, so we will just simulate the rest of the game. Decent punt there from Davenport, as he's likely just going to end up on the practice squad. As Davis Mills trying to lead a late drive here, but it is a 2-possession deficit, so probably too little too late, but some good hits there through the passing game. As now 3rd and goal at the 1, and they do get the touchdown there, a rushing touchdown from Mills, and they do get the extra points. So now 16-14, but that is going to do it here. Another good result, as we're now 2-0 in this Year 5 preseason. Going to wrap things up with the Cleveland Browns, who were the last team in the NFL, or the bottom team in the NFL last season, as they ended with the 1st overall pick, where they selected Levi Falk out of Auburn. So we are going to get a look at him, along with some more of our young players we have on this team. We're going to mix things up a little bit, get some more fresh faces out there, and then take a look at our final stats and assemble this 53-man roster as we head into a pivotal Year 5 season in this expansion franchise. So we are now into the final preseason game of this Year 5 preseason. We're going to look at Lucas McDonald, our franchise quarterback, along with a lot of the other ones, especially on the offensive line, who we haven't seen, such as Colton Miller at left tackle, superstar left guard Cade Moreland, and superstar free agent addition at center Creed Humphrey. We'll get our first look at him in a Snowhawks uniform. Also, Ikem McConway at right tackle. There's Brandon Ayuk, number 84 now, of the Cleveland Browns, after signing a big contract with them in free agency, as he was the top receiver on the market. But our Snowhawks currently at 2-0, looking to replicate another undefeated preseason, as hopefully that is some foreshadowing, as we did go on to make it all the way to the Super Bowl, but this year looking to finish the job. And of course, it all starts here in the preseason, as we're now underway in the finale here. A lot of last-second chances for these players to make an impact, make themselves known as they seek a spot on the 53-man roster. The Cleveland Browns, the worst team in the league last season, they ended up with the 1st overall pick, where they took Levi Falk, left tackle out of Auburn. Their quarterback currently Emmett Dalton, now in Year 4 out of Miami. A former 2nd-round pick, has been the starter the past 2 seasons, but last year 21 interceptions to 18 touchdown passes, so obviously has to clean that up a lot. But it looks like Levi Falk is not even out there with the starters, so the number 1 pick, we'll have to wait and see him, as the first pass attempt there to Sean Gross in on the coverage, but that is an 8-yard gain. A bunch of receivers on this team for the Browns that they've invested in over the course of this franchise, which I was kind of surprised to see Ayuk land with the Browns. A nice run lane opens up that time for Chase Brown, the former Cincinnati Bengals, comes over, stays in division, signing with the Cleveland Browns, living up to his name, as now his 2nd season in Cleveland. A nice run that time, already into Snowhawk territory. There goes a man in motion, being followed by Dakota Michaels, our first-round pick, one of our first-round picks, as Chase Brown going to get that one, and a good tackle there in space by Dale Gilmore will end up a tackle for loss. So Dale Gilmore, one of our 2 first-round picks from last year. We've now gone 3 straight years of multiple first-round picks, but Gilmore out of Tennessee, an expanded role, as Goddard there was in on the pressure, was not able to get around, as there's David Njoku making the play that time. Pete Werner in on the stop, getting first-team looks in this game alongside Jerry Sexton. Although we're going to mix in a bunch of linebackers in this finale. Now 3rd and inches, they go back for the running game, and they do get the 1st down. Drew Sanders in on the tackle, but too little too late as they go back for Chase Brown. And they've been getting some good run blocking here early on to Sean Gross, chasing and bringing him down. chasing Chase Brown and bringing him down. You just love how that rolls off the tongue. Now here on 2nd and 7, back for Brown as he works on the stretch, but really nothing doing. Looks like it will come back to a hold as well. And that was left tackle Wanya Morris. So we want to see some Levi Falk. We'll maybe see him going up against our first-round pick Taylor Goddard out of Tennessee, as those two had a couple matchups over their time in college, as David Njoku going to take that 19 yards inside the red zone now, as he's had 2 big receptions on this opening drive for the Browns. Emmett Dalton leading the charge now at the 17, more than halfway through this first quarter, as Dalton being chased, and he'll be hit to the ground by Taylor Goddard. We mentioned him early on, had a nice pass rush win, and this time winning all the way back for the sack, his first sack of the preseason. He has had a couple flashes there in week 2, but this time, look at that explosiveness, the violence, getting in on the sack, and we're really hoping he can emerge as a star pass rusher for us. Did come back with hidden development after trading. It was like 5 picks just to move up 11 that we had to give up to the Packers, but he was one of our guys, and we had to make the move for him. Now 2nd and 21 at the 29, Dalton there, and that's Tashawn Gross making an impact. That's Quincy Nobles, one of the young receivers on this Browns team, former 6th-round pick, and he was a 1,000-yard receiver going back to his rookie year. Now 3rd and very long, going to set up the screen here, and that won't get much as Matthew Torrance in on the stop, only a 1-yard gain, as our defense responds well after the Browns had some big hits down inside the red zone, but a big sack there from Taylor Goddard, our first of 2 first-round picks. And now here on the 44-yard field goal attempt to get the Browns on the board. That kick is up, and that kick is good, so the Browns take the 3-0 lead, 2:30 remaining in the first quarter. So now we'll see Lucas McDonald for the first time in this preseason. We'll have him out there for a quarter or 2 as he gets reacclimated here. And an up-and-down career it's been for McDonald, but more up lately as he put together such an impressive run towards the end of last season. He was at 7 touchdowns, 10 interceptions, and ended up going on like a 19-4 run to end the season as we went all the way to the Super Bowl, securing our first playoff appearance, our first division title, and NFC championship all in the same season. As now his first drop back in a roll to the right, and he will backtrack that time, a 7-yard loss, as that's new Brown. Rashawn Gary signed a 1-year contract from Green Bay as he tracks down McDonald there. Not how you want to be welcomed to the year 5 season if you're McDonald. And now 2nd and 17. He will have a man over the middle there. That's Cortez Bibbs, I believe, or no, call it Chauncey Washington, the 3rd-year tight end out of Georgia, as he is battling for a roster spot. Has been decent, the last 2 preseasons, especially last year. He was very good in the preseason. Now McDonald on 3rd down does roll away from Jeremiah Owusu with a lot of room to run. I thought he was, destined for failure there. He did end up getting 8, and I think that was Owusu there in on the pressure. I could be wrong there, but Owusu and Myles Garrett, 2 tantalizing defensive players on this team, as McDonald a quick one there with the pressure as he gets that for Chauncey Washington as he does go out of bounds there. Had a lot of room to run, but could not tightrope up the sideline. Did get some good yak that time as we're now into Cleveland territory here into the final few seconds here as we're hit the 10-second mark. And now McDonald, wide open man again is Chauncey Washington, that one for 7. And just like that, we're already through the first quarter here, as that was a very quick one. Both teams moving the ball very well. Taylor Goddard had that huge impact play to stall that Cleveland opening drive. Even though we got sacked of our own, McDonald was able to scramble for the first, as we're getting some hits here early on. Hopefully we get a touchdown out of it. After this drive, we will sim a drive aside and then make some changes, get some new players out there. Here to start the second quarter, 2nd and 3. McDonald, plenty of time to throw, going to run it again, and he's going all the way into the red zone as he works down to the 18-yard line, an 18-yard gain, but that is not what we want to see. Left tackle Colton Miller, as we get Karan Amagaji back out there at left tackle. We do have Jamie McLean, former first-round pick, who has filled in as a swing tackle. So we have decent depth at the position. McDonald now on 1st and 10, going for the end zone. That's just out of the reach of Drew Collins, trying to get him there in the corner. And that's why you have him out there for these preseason reps, just to fine-tune the mechanics. And you hope that next time you go for that shot that, you get it. As it wasn't offside there, so no harm, no foul there on the sack. As we will get, we'll accept that penalty and redo it. From a 3rd and 23, make it a 2nd and 5. We're still alive here now at the 13-yard line. McDonald Second read there for the end zone. That's a touchdown for Drew Collins. He tried for him last time, missed, but this time finds him as Drew Collins, his first touchdown in this preseason. We've been talking about him a lot, especially the past couple games. Second-year man out of Texas A&M, going to definitely get him involved in the offense a lot more this season. More of a slot guy, which we will give him some looks there. So we do take the lead here. Going to be 7-3, pending the extra point here from Todd Hayes, as that is up, and that is good. So we will sim a drive aside here as a good 8-play, 73-yard drive there. Lucas McDonald gets us on the board. And now Cleveland takes over at the 30-yard line. Incomplete second down. They get 14 yards there for Emmanuel Rhodes, 6th overall pick from a few years ago out of Michigan. 28 yards there for Ayuk, now inside the red zone. 2nd and 5 at the 11. A penalty against the offensive line, so 2nd and 15. They get 4 yards, so a 3rd and 11. And they get just 1 yard, so probably going to have to settle for another field goal as they do. That's Austin Stibert, 33 yards. So we still do have the lead, and we will keep McDonald out there for another drive or so. We get 3 yards for Manny Reynolds, and then we go incomplete. So a 3 and out as Cleveland takes over at the 15. I think there was that glitch where we're going to have to be forced to watch the rest of the game. But if Taylor Goddard is continuing to make plays like that, this time against the run, shedding the block, turning the corner, and making the stop. So there is that glitch. We're going to have to watch the entirety of this game now. I don't know if anyone who is familiar with the slow sims, but that does happen from time to time. I thought I figured out a way to work around it, but I guess not the case, as it does not let us back out now. And I don't even think we can adjust the depth chart at all, so we might be doomed for what we had planned. Is Dalton now backtracking down the field? That's Matthew Torrance, as Dalton trying the deep shot there on 3rd down. But Torrance making another play here, really solidifying himself as a stalwart on our back end. And now the Browns punting all the way from their own 17, so likely going to have some good field position to start with as we hit the 3-minute mark now in this first half. There from the 41, and really not much doing. So we will see McDonald now through the 3rd quarter, as after that they will go to our backups. So this is what we're stuck with the rest of the way. It does not let us change the depth chart, as a misfire there. But yeah, sometimes when you're doing the slow sims and you try to mix in some faster sims like we have been doing, sometimes you get the glitch where it doesn't let you, change what you've been looking at. So it just keeps us in this slow sim the rest of the way, unfortunately. But I will try and cut a lot out and propel and accelerate through this last game. We weren't expecting to be in here so long, as McDonald there down the field does have Drew Collins again. And that's going to be another huge hookup. That one, for quick math, 41 yards. So Collins had that touchdown. Now a big gain there, as he's showing good chemistry now with Lucas McDonald. The two did not, play much last season. But another corner out that time from Collins. And the DB making a good jump on the ball, but Collins able to keep concentration and haul that one in now all the way down inside the red zone. 2:15 left in the half. Salt Lake City already up 7-6. We'll give here for Manny Reynolds, as he'll break an arm tackle and gets 2. Now it's 2nd and 8. Love seeing Drew Collins making his mark now in this preseason. There goes Chauncey Washington. A few catches already for him in this one. McDonald's second read there has Dre Patton, the rookie. We saw him make a few catches in week 1, but nothing doing in week 2. But a good catch that time. Going to bring up 3rd and 1 now at the 7. All timeouts still for both sides, as we will give or fake it. And they sent the blitz, and a good play call that time on the play action, as that's Leonard May. He was offside earlier, which costed the Browns that sack, but this time making up for it, as that'll bring on Todd Hayes for the chip shot here from 28. He had one blocked last week, but this time that one is up, and that one is good, as we make it now a 4-point lead, 10-6 here, Salt Lake City. And now with 1:08 remaining, Dalton takes the snap as he fires there, and that goes astray. Pete Werner in on the coverage. Free agent signing from the Saints. Now a 4-man rush from the Snowhawks, as Taylor Goddard did win his battle again there, but Dalton has to get rid of it. It's no less than a minute here in this first half. Dalton takes the snap, will fake it. Has time to throw. Gonna throw it away though, as he was finally ripped down. So good coverage. There's Michael Carter II, had that interception in that first game. We've had only one interception now over the course of the preseason. Hopefully one of these reserves can make one and, make their mark, as we are going to have time now. A little 2-minute drill, as that'll be fair caught at the 29-yard line. Here comes McDonald and the offense, all their timeouts to work with. So this is a good, game situation here, a 2-minute warning. And now McDonald on second down takes the snap, trying to set up a screen there for Vince Willis. We haven't seen him at all, and he does get the gain there for 9. McDonald now over 100 passing yards with that touchdown as well. And so he'll take the snap here on 3rd and 1. Going there, and that's incomplete. Another short one, as we will have to punt. The Browns would get a field goal there to close out the half, making it 10-9. We'll pick it up here now to start the second half of play. And that last Browns drive, they went for a Hail Mary on the last play of the half, and then eventually was a defensive pass interference was called, which set them up for a chip shot field goal, making it 10-9. But we'll see Lucas McDonald and the starters here for one more quarter. Not all the starters. We haven't seen Carlos Alvarez, Mark Andrews, or Dontavion Wicks, but on the offensive line, we've seen pretty much all our starters, although Colton Miller is still injured, as Manny Reynolds will get another carry here, that one for 5. He's shown so much authority running the ball, so I think we are going to end up preferring him over Carson Steele. I like the idea of Steele, but he's averaged like 1.5 yards per carry in this preseason there again for Chauncey Washington, as McDonald hooking up with him a lot. Drew Collins, as that'll propel this drive another first down, now down to the 42-yard line. McDonald will give it again for Reynolds. Good lead block there from Moreland, as we do get 3. Cade Moreland, number 69 there at left guard, former top 10 pick out of LSU. Although he missed the blitz pickup that time, as that was Leonard May again making a big play that time, jawing it up with Lucas McDonald, as that'll bring us up now 3rd and 12. Moreland does move very well in space, but still rounding out his intangibles there as a pass protector. Going up there against Myles Garrett, as he was tossed down to the turf. And now Emmett Dalton back on the field to lead the charge here for Cleveland. Over the middle has a man open, as that goes for 9. Make it 2nd and inches, directly under center, as he gives for Chase Brown. A nice lane opens up, carving us up on the ground so far. And now a first down for the Browns. Dalton from the shotgun low snap, as he gives for the back, but nothing doing there. Runs into his own block, and there's Corey Wilson again, undrafted D tackle out of Florida, trying to earn a roster spot. We're going to pay attention to some cuts here, though. We're hoping that some high-profile D tackle gets cut, and we're able to swoop in and add him to this team. Going to look for a couple missing pieces here, as teams do make some tough cut decisions that other teams will benefit from. One team's trash is another team's treasure, we'll say, as another good play that time against the run. Now 3rd and 13. 3rd and long, trying to go for the screen again, as they do get it for Chase Brown, being chased there by Ruke Orhoro. And I'm getting that pronunciation down little by little as he makes a play. We like the high upside signing he presented there in free agency after we missed out on a bunch of our top D tackle options, such as Jordan Davis, Aleem McNeil, Deron Payne, Vita Vea. They all signed elsewhere, so Ruke was our plan C pretty much, but we're happy with what he's offered so far, as now 2:25 remaining in the 3rd, and then once we hit the 4th quarter, all these starters are going to be swapped out for more reserve guys, as we'll see who can make some last-ditch, last impressions. And then McDonald going to be sacked, fumbles, and we do get the recovery there. I think that was Creed Humphrey jumping on it, as the mental clock that time a little out of sorts for McDonald, but no harm, no fouls. We do pick up the fumble. We do lose 3 yards, though. And then McDonald again over the middle has Chauncey Washington, as he will pick that up for 11. Goes the man in motion. McDonald takes the snap from the pocket, rolling to the right, as he's going to tuck it and run. Some space to move now upfield, as he'll take that for 14. Such a threat McDonald is when he gets out into space using that 93 speed. Now up to a 90 overall X-Factor quarterback for us. There goes Eddie Matthews in motion. We'll get the jet touch pass there, as he rolls to the outside. Eddie Matthews now up the sideline. He's 6'6", but he can move. That time he's going to get 22. Matthews is a second-year man out of Oklahoma State, part of that same wide receiver draft class, and we got Drew Collins and Carlos Alvarez, as that will bring us into the 4th quarter now. So that's our last look at Lucas McDonald. A lot of these guys, there's Taylor Goddard, had that early sack, as he finally, puts his mark on this preseason. McDonald has been sacked a few times, did fumble once, which we were able to recover, as this drive is still alive. We're going to get Aiden O'Connell now to finish it out for the final quarter of this Year 5 preseason. Starting here, first down at the 36, as we do go for the ground game, and that's going to be Will Nichols, one of his first carries of the preseason, really just battling against Dorian Golston for a reserve 3rd down back roll. And if you keep toting the rock like that for 10, that is going to get you on the roster. We'll give it right back to him, but he's taken down for a loss that time. Chris Barnes, veteran linebacker out of UCLA, on the stop. And now a 3rd and short here at the 27, so in field goal range. O'Connell over the middle has a man open. That's Cortez Bibbs. I was calling him Kentrell Bibbs in the last game. Correction on that. It's Cortez Bibbs, as that will bring us into the red zone. 1st down. Salt Lake City leading by 1 point here. Now O'Connell. And that's going to be missed by Sean James. Had him streaking towards the sideline, but a little miscommunication. As he did it to Will Nichols, who checks back into the game at running back. And he will get the carry, just trying to sweep that all the way to the outside. Does get 3. Now 3rd and 7. We go back to the ground game there for Sean James. As he has some space, fights ahead, gets 7. It's going to be 4th and inches inside the 10, and I'm going for it, especially here in the preseason, as we are going to do that. Love the aggressiveness here as we come out in the shotgun. Sean James the back, as we are going to throw it for Bibbs there, and I'm not sure they're going to give him the forward progress, as they do not. I like the read there from O'Connell, but a little too tight that time, as we are short there on 4th down, so still just a 1-point lead for our Snowhawks. An injury timeout there for the Browns, as now a big shuffle on defense. We see Nathan Scruggs there, 17 at corner. Quay Walker, a starter, is on the field, along with Caleb Patton at defensive tackle. So a few starters now out there for the Snowhawks in the final 5 minutes, as we are outgaining them 239, I think, to 169. And now here's Kenny Pickett, the Ocean Township product here, a local in New Jersey over here. Malik Mustafa can't make the tackle, but there's Pete Warner providing some energy, just tossing the man down. As you know, you just need a field goal here, kill some clock, get that potential game-winning field goal if you're the Browns to close out the preseason. And now Pickett from the pocket, going to be hit. I'm surprised he was able to avoid the sack for as long as he was. I think that might have been Taylor Goddard again in on the pressure. He's been out there pretty much the whole course of this game, and he has been making an impact. They're on the spin move, as he was working against Levi Falk, and that's almost intercepted by Mustafa, not known for his ball skills, as he was able to break on that one. So we do have Levi Falk out there at left tackle, now the #1 overall pick out of Auburn, working against Taylor Goddard, the 21st overall pick. Both SEC products. Is a good pull move there from Goddard. Tremendous job of converting speed to power that time. And now we do force the punt. So just 3:30 remaining in this 4th quarter, trying to hang on to this 1-point lead and secure this undefeated preseason for the 2nd year in a row. That was Sean James on their punt return, really nothing doing, as we'll get another look at O'Connell. I wish we got to see a little bit more of Manny Reynolds in this one, but again, I can't even make any adjustments on the depth chart. It's a nice little screen pass that time, as that gets 5. That was Dontavion Wicks, was tremendous in his role on our offense last season, along there with Carlos Alvarez in our receiving core, and Marvin Harrison Jr., of course. Now 2nd and 5 at the 40, just burning the clock now, as we get the flag there on delay of game, burning it a little too much there. So 2nd and 10 after the delay of game penalty. O'Connell on the drop back over the middle of the field. That's almost intercepted right in the hands of the Browns linebacker, Chris Barnes. And we live to see another down. That was a little bit risky there from O'Connell, as I'm not sure who we're going to put as our quarterback 2 spot. I still think I prefer Woodard a little bit, even though he did have some interceptions. Now O'Connell, across his body, is going to throw that away. So we are going to have to punt now. The Browns another chance for the late lead. They will take over at the 26 with 2:26 remaining. See what Kenny Pickett can do here. 4-man rush for Salt Lake City. As over the middle, Pickett has a man. That's a nice gain for the 1st. We do hit the 2-minute warning now, as we are now in crunch time. A lot of spin moves there from Goddard at the right end position. Did not win that time, as the Browns a completion there for 12 gets him across midfield. So Luke Musgrave, now the tight end 2 here for the Browns behind Njoku. And now Pickett going to just loft that one up, and that is knocked down. Catrell Clark back there in coverage, 1.5 minutes now remaining, setting up a screen, as they do get to completion, but that's Pete Warner and Corey Wilson in on the stop. No gain for the Browns, as we are now at the 1:10 mark. Pickett in the pocket. Over the middle, he does have a man open in stride. That's the running back all the way down to the 19. Salt Lake City calls the timeout, so the Browns now in line for the potential game-winning field goal. Pickett over the middle again has a completion. Snowhawks burn their 2nd timeout, so now just 63 seconds left. 3 tight ends on the field, as they're probably just going to run it here. They fake it there from the pocket. They go for a tight end there, or a fullback, a linebacker, number 52. I'm not sure who that is, but the Browns do call a timeout, so 3rd and 2 now at the 11. I would assume they just run it and try to center the field goal attempt. And they do go for the run here. They get the first down as they do burn another timeout. And on the play, first overall pick, left tackle Levi Falk does go off to an injury. And now up the middle, as it is going to come back to a hold. Now back him up 1st and goal at the 18. And again, stacking the tight ends out there as they do go for the running game. And again, it's going to come back to a hold as they do score a touchdown. But it's all for not another holding penalty. So they're going to knock themselves out of field goal range just from holding penalties. Now back to the 27-yard line. And they do go for the running back here. He'll be wrapped up in the backfield. They lose another 2. And the Snowhawks call their final timeout. So now 2nd and goal out in the I formation. And they have made it interesting here. Look like they'll have a chip shot. And now backtracking even further all the way back to the 34-yard line. Oh my goodness, they have one more timeout. Kenny Pickett here on 3rd and goal. Going to be sacked. Oh my goodness, it's a blitz from Seth Phillips, the 7th-round pick from last year. As now just 5 seconds remaining. This might be the last play as now again they're sacked. And that's Pete Werner this time. And they literally just ran themselves out of field goal range. And like that, we come back to win this game. That was just a crazy late game development there out of the victory formation. Our Snowhawks now 3-0 for the 2nd straight season. Although they are going to call a timeout and just string it along a little bit further. But that was just a wild developments there down the stretch. They were at like the 5-yard line. Just set them up for a game-winning field goal, but not the case as back-to-back holding penalties and then back-to-back sacks forced them all the way back out of field goal range, gave us the ball back, and the Snowhawks win 10-9 here. Crazy late game finish there, but we'll take the result. Winning is everything, even when it comes here in the preseason. So 2nd straight year, we're undefeated in the preseason, but that doesn't matter, although we are going to now look at our roster, look at the stats, see how we finished, and we're going to assemble this 53-man roster in what we hope is a team that can get back to the Super Bowl, but more importantly, win it this time. And now looking at the numbers, we have the eye test, which I think is more valuable in this process, but you also have to dig into the stats and account for that in some way, shape, or form. So Chris Woodard pretty much doubled the pass attempts here of Aiden O'Connell, but I think we do prefer Woodard. We drafted him, we've groomed him a little bit over the years now as part of our organization, and I like what I saw from him as our backup quarterback last season. So that's not to say O'Connell won't end up as our quarterback 3 on the roster, but I'm not sure that we'll be able to afford that roster spot as last year. We did just keep 2 quarterbacks on the team. So Woodard 27 out of 40 for 67%, 7.6 yards per attempt, which was 2 yards more than O'Connell, and O'Connell completed less than 60%. McDonald was 11 out of 18 in that short sample size for 154 and a touchdown. Now going over to rushing, Manny Reynolds had 62, was our leading rusher with a touchdown, 5.6 per carry, and he was the only running back to break multiple tackles in the preseason. Lucas McDonald had 39 yards rushing in those 3 quarters. Sean James 9 for 27. Will Nichols 2 for 13 at 6.5 per, albeit just in 2 carries. So Carson Steele 7 for 11 at 1.6, and he didn't break any tackles, which is what we're looking for. So we might just end up cutting him and preferring Manny Reynolds, the guy we drafted. And now going over to receiving, Chauncey Washington 108 did lead our team in yards and catches there with 11, also a touchdown, but Drew Collins 5 for 107, a touchdown in that final game. Cortez Bibbs was solid 8 for 87. So it's really hard to decide between Washington, who's been, one of our best players over the past 2 preseasons, and then Cortez Bibbs, who was on the practice squad last year, but now it's either we put him on the 53-man or we cut him, and he does offer better blocking skills than Washington, which I do like in that tight end 3 spot. Eddie Matthews 5 for 66. He had some flashes. Darnell Washington more so used in that first game. I think he had our first catch in the preseason, ended up with 2 for 45. Sean James 3 for 42, 6.3 there on run after catch. Dre Patton, the rookie we drafted, 5 for 39. His competition down here, Deontay Hilton, just 2 for 11, but skill-wise, he is a better return man, but maybe a little more upside in Patton, the guy we drafted. Will Nichols also added 2 catches for 20 yards, battling here with Dorian Golston, and he was better receiving and running the ball. Both had 2 touches each, so at least, similar measuring stick. Now going over to blocking, downs played was led by Cooper Hodges. We brought him in as a depth guy, maybe proving himself to be one of our backups on the interior, battling there with Taylor Tyson, who's been on our practice squad since being an undrafted guy back a couple years. And I think Hodges has edged him out, also a little bit better ratings-wise. Drew Winkler was a 7th round pick we just threw a dart on. He played 70 snaps, did not give up a sack. Also, Evan Burnham, an undrafted free agent we brought in out of Syracuse, 6'5", 333. He just had a ton of pancakes over the course of the preseason. Probably a practice squad guy, but I was impressed by his play. And there's Keegan Teague, someone battling for a spot, not practice squad eligible anymore, so probably going to be released. Karan Amagaji battling for an offensive tackle spot. Not sure what we're going to do with him yet, as we also have Jamie McLean here, who is going to have to start week 1 because Colton Miller did end up with an injury that'll keep him out about a month. So Jamie McLean, a former first-round pick, is going to be the starter at left tackle in week 1, which probably brings more upside for Amagaji to make the final 53-man roster, as we will be down at tackle for the first few weeks. So Cade Moreland, no sacks allowed on 59 snaps. One of the best players pound for pound on our team at just 23 years old, already 89 overall superstar. And pairing him with Creed Humphrey is going to be a tremendous force on the interior of our offensive line here in year 5. Now, Seth Rosenthal was a 2nd round pick last year, now entering his 2nd season, going to be a pivotal piece on our O-line as a backup. And then Jamie McLean and Ike McConwu, who hopefully can pick up his play now in his 3rd season with the Snowhawks. Catrell Clark led our team in tackles despite not even playing in that first game. Behind him was 1st round pick Dakota Michaels, followed by Dak Kitchens. So the top 3 guys here are corners, not really what you want to see. I think that usually means you're giving up a lot of completions. Tackles for loss led by Randy Fisher, our 2nd round pick, Taylor Goddard, one of our 1st round picks, and also Ricardo Chambers battling for a spot, along with Corey Wilson, the undrafted guy who didn't play much but made a splash when he did. 3 tackles for loss, 6'1", 300 pounds out of Florida. Randy Fisher, the only player on our team with multiple sacks, as he made his presence known. Goddard had 1, Ricardo Chambers, Pete Werner, who was very active in that Week 3 matchup. Ben Amaro, probably going to be a reserve guy at the end, along with Dom Gilmore, who did miss the last preseason game due to injury, but should be back for Week 1. And I think just based on that impact, he might have a spot on our 53-man roster, just a 69 overall, but he is due for an upgrade here soon. 82 power move, 80 speed, with good block shed to go along with that. So he might crack the final roster just based off that impact. Had that sack for a touchdown, and then a few plays later blocked a field goal. But who else had a sack? Ruke Orhorhoro, Ricardo Chambers we saw, and Seth Phillips might be one of our reserve linebackers. Michael Carter II, the only interception. Also had 2 pass breakups, but Deshaun Gross led the team with 3. But Amaro had 2. You don't really expect that from a D end, along with Catrell Clark. So he may have earned a backup spot there as a corner. Only 1 forced fumble there from Gilmore. Now kicking, Todd Hayes was 3 out of 4 with a 53 long, but also had an extra point blocked. But Will Reichert definitely going to be our guy. Todd Hayes probably on the practice squad, and Logan Cook was absolutely phenomenal, an average of 55.7 with 3 inside the 20. Returning, we had Dre Patton, 1 for 28, which was the longest of anyone on our team. Sean James, 3 for 72, as he made a decent impact there. And Deontay Hilton, just 1 for 22. And now punt returns, Dre Patton, 3 for 21. Hilton 2 for 14, so they were pretty much even there. So it'll be interesting to see who we end up keeping as our return man, as you know, we're not really afforded all these roster spots with a lot of guys we drafted in the past recent years, as we do have to cut 20 players. A lot of these guys probably will end up on the practice squad, as we will just start out going position by position. So we're not really sure yet on Aiden O'Connell. Chris Woodard is going to be the backup, but we still might keep O'Connell depending on how many roster spots we have. And it gets a little tricky here at running back. We have 7 guys here. And like I said, I think we are going to cut Carson Steele. We brought him in thinking, he'd be a fun addition, has tremendous break tackle, strength and all that, but really just didn't make much of a splash in the preseason, or as much as we were hoping for. Whereas someone like Manny Reynolds and even Sean James kind of had some good showings there. So we will just cut Carson Steele. That will save us like $1.5 million. So he still does make about $1 million just to come in and play in the preseason. Now, going to seek options elsewhere, as that brings us here down to Will Nichols and Dorian Golston, who I think we're just going to put both of these guys on the practice squad. Both are decent receiving options, but we like what we saw in Manny Reynolds, Sean James, Vince Willis, our 3rd down back, and also Tank Bigsby, who was huge down the stretch last season. So we are going to stick with these 4 running backs. And also we have Brandon Davison at fullback, one of the best in all of the NFL after being undrafted out of Auburn. So we're going to move to the practice squad. Dorian Golston and Will Nichols. Nichols has 1 more year left of eligibility on the practice squad, but Golston does not. And now it does get tricky here at receiver with Patton and Hilton. We already know we're keeping Matthews, Collins, Wicks, Alvarez, and Harrison. So that's already 5 receivers. And then we're probably going to keep 1. I don't know about both of Patton and Hilton. Maybe one of these guys ends up on the practice squad. And now going over to tight end, we might end up keeping all 4 of these guys, as we might be very heavy at the skill positions on offense. And now going over to tackle, Evan Burnham definitely going to end up on the practice squad. We liked what he presented there in the preseason. Undrafted out of Syracuse. Not sure yet on Amagaji. Left guard, Taylor Tyson, only 66 overall. Just going to end up cutting him. He's been sticking around after signing him as an undrafted guy a few years back. And now at center, also going to throw Drew Winkler onto the practice squad. Just 63 overall, but did have a pretty good preseason. And now going over to right guard, I think Hodges is going to be the guy at right guard. Of course, Samuels will be the starter. And now at right tackle, we're going to cut Keegan Teague. Like Tyson was more of a practice squad guy over the past couple years. And we will keep McLean and Ikonwu. So that's 2 tackles right there, plus Amagaji. And you got to account for Colton Miller as well. We're not going to throw him on the IR, but he's going to be out like 3 weeks to start the season. And now at D end, it is a little tough here. Kwity Paye is going to be the starter at left end. Ricardo Chambers had a nice game there in week 3. Alfonso Truman, he made more of an impact in week 1. Ben Amaro definitely going to be on the team, along with Braylon Trice, Goddard, and Grenard, who we didn't see much in the preseason, but he's definitely going to work into the rotation along with Taylor Goddard and Trice. So we have a bunch of guys here we can work in. Grenard, Goddard, Trice, and also Kwity Paye here at left end. So that's 4 D ends right there. Probably going to keep 5, which will include Ben Amaro. So even though we liked what we saw in Alfonso Truman, he put some good tape out there, but just not enough space for him. As now going over to left end. Same case here with Ricardo Chambers. He played pretty well, but I don't know if we're going to keep 6 D ends on this team, but we will just keep him there for now. 12 more roster spots to work with, and Brendan Valentine was kind of a ghost there, but we will throw him on the practice squad, which leaves us with Caleb Patton now at 83 overall. Randy Fisher, rookie who made a huge impact, and also Ruke Orhorhoro, who we're hoping can hit that next level now in a change of scenery off his rookie contract there in Atlanta. And I don't think Corey Wilson will end up on the final 53-man roster, but I think he definitely proved of at least holding a spot for now. We're going to seek out some upgrades after the other 31 teams made their cuts and see if we can find a hidden treasure. As now working through the linebackers, Quay Walker definitely on the team, going over to middle linebacker. We're going to keep Sexton, Sanders, probably Phillips. He made some big plays. He spent last year on the practice squad. Damian Simmons we will throw on the practice squad. Was a 7th round pick for us, I believe. I like what his skill set presents, but just not going to beat out these other guys. Quan Beverly was mostly a practice squad guy as a pass coverage specialist with 89 speed, 70 zone. But I think we have better options on the team now, especially after signing Pete Werner as a depth guy. We've drafted Jerry Sexton to Sean Gross. So we'll go ahead and cut Beverly. We might cut Isaiah Simmons as well. We re-signed him to a 1-year contract, but we wouldn't really lose much on cutting him, even though there would be a slight penalty. So that's 3 linebackers there. We'll say Walker is 4. I don't know about Jordan Walker, though. We actually might just keep it as is for now. That's, I think, just 8 linebackers, which isn't bad. 7 or 8, I think, is typically what you would keep. And now coming over here to corner, we have Arnold and Scruggs, who, of course, are 1 and 2, and then Michael Carter the second. And Dakota Michaels. I think we'll mix both of them in the slot a little bit. Carter II, of course, has all the experience in the world, and I think can play a good mentor here to Dakota Michaels, who's kind of learning the position. He played it a little bit at Texas Tech, but more of a natural safety. And then Ketrell Clark made a huge impact in those final 2 games. And then there's Dak Kitchens, who's been a fan favorite over the course of this franchise, which I wouldn't mind keeping 6 corners, but we still have 9 cuts we have to make at this point as we now get over to free safety. And Stephen McKell, we will throw him on the practice squad as well, at just 66 overall. That leaves us with just 4 safeties total, but I think if we are to keep 6 corners, one of these guys can just be that 5th safety option if it ever comes down to it. Now going over to kickers, we did say Todd Hayes is going to the practice squad, and we also had Davenport here, who is not eligible for the practice squad. I thought he still was for some reason, but we will just end up cutting him, which now leaves us with 6 cuts left to make. Corey Wilson, our lowest rated player by far, there at 63. Also Deontay Hilton. We will go ahead and throw him on the practice squad. We drafted Dre Patton instead, so we're going to roll with the man who is more so organically brought into the organization now. 5 cuts left to make. One of them might have to come at tight end. Even quarterback probably. I think O'Connell, we will just let him go. As kind of like Carson Steele, he'll come in, play the preseason, and still make about $1.5 million, which I don't think he can complain about. So between the fullback and running backs, that's 5 in the backfield. We are going to end up with 6 wide receivers and right now 4 tight ends, but we could always throw Chauncey Washington on the practice squad. I don't really want to take that risk, but we just might have to do it this year. We actually had Bibbs on the practice squad last year, but I think now as our tight end 3, we need someone with more of a blocking prowess. And even though that's not the nature of Bibbs' game, he can certainly hold up in that facet. So we might have to end up cutting Chambers and then throwing Wilson on the practice squad and maybe just rolling with 3 defensive tackles, depending what presents itself in free agency. We could also afford to cut maybe Jordan Walker here and just roll with the other 6 linebackers that we have on the team. It's tough because Isaiah Simmons has been part of the team pretty much the entirety of this franchise, been a key contributor on special teams, even had a touchdown off a blocked punt last year against the Seahawks in a huge game. So kind of comes down to Simmons and Walker here at linebacker, but also I think we will just throw Corey Wilson onto the practice squad, just not feasible to keep a 63 on the 53-man roster. And we could always have someone like Kwity Paye fill in at some snaps there at D tackle in a sub package if need be. And we're hoping there might be a better option in free agency. But we're also going to go ahead and cut Ricardo Chambers. I forgot we have Doug Gilmore, who is injured for 1 more week. We are going to just throw him on the IR to preserve a spot on the final roster. So at this point, it pretty much leaves us with 1 cut left to make. More than likely, I think maybe at this linebacker spot, we don't have many strong side linebackers on the roster, and by that I mean more of like a run stopper, which Jordan Walker definitely presents very strong at 78 compared to what we're working with elsewhere, and a pretty good athlete overall with 84 tackles, 77 hit power, 76 pursuit. So at 27 years old, he has yet to see a snap of NFL action, but I like that skill set as a reserve guy. But then again, I don't know, because it really comes down to him and Simmons, which Simmons is more like the other players I think we have at the position, but very athletic still at 92 speed. So I think cutting Walker is going to have to be the move. That would leave us keeping Chauncey Washington, so there wouldn't be that threat of him getting snatched off our practice squad. So we will keep Isaiah Simmons. I think that'll bring us to 6 or 7 linebackers overall, and I think that's a solid number to work with. So Jordan Walker is going to be cut, and we're going to throw Dom Gilmore on the IR, so that will preserve that last spot. So we are now officially down to 53 players. We're going to get Colton Miller back like week 3, week 4. Dom Gilmore in a similar stage as he will have to endure now, I think, an extra 5 or 6 weeks, as we did just move him there to the practice squad on accident. So I guess we're going to have to bring him back to the active roster and then place him on the IR if I'm not mistaken, or we can just place him on the IR from here. So I'm not sure really how that will impact things with him, but either way, that does bring us back to that 53-man roster. I guess we can sign 1 more man to the practice squad, but this is what we're looking at. Todd Hayes, Will Nichols, Deontay Hilton, Damian Simmons, a rookie 7th-round pick, Dom Gilmore, who is showing up on the practice squad, but as we saw, we just moved him to the IR. Then Dorian Golston, probably his last year on the practice squad. Stephen McKell, 7th-round pick. He was 6th-round pick. Drew Winkler was a 7th-round pick. And then UDFAs here in Evan Burnham, Corey Wilson, and Brendan Valentine. And with that, we are now officially advanced into the Year 5 regular season, as we are going to open up on Monday Night Football on the road at Levi's Stadium against the San Francisco 49ers, as that is certainly a matchup you're not going to want to miss. But we will take to the free agency right here and see if there are any options that pose an upgrade at any spots of our team as we try to fill out the missing piece here, those final pieces to the puzzle. So Kendall Fuller, 33 years old, the top free agent right now at 83 overall. He was one of our top corners going back to the Year 3 season. Najee Harris, a power back here, also on the market. That's an interesting option to come in and fill that role for us, but I think we are going to roll with Manny Reynolds. But Harris, 93 carrying with 90 trucking, 87 stiff arm. That would be a decent option in that role, but like I said, I think we are going to stick with Manny Reynolds. We'll see if Carson Steele ends up anywhere. Teron Johnson, Martin Emerson Jr., a couple corners, along with Kenny Moore II, Jaleel McLaughlin, a lot of corners and running backs up here. Javier Morrison, former Steeler draft pick. Slot receiver looks to be one of the top options. Frankie Luvu, Olukun, to veteran linebackers now in their 30s at this point. And Christian McCaffrey still unsigned. We cut him following the NFL draft. We'll see if he ends up anywhere. It doesn't look like it if he's still unsigned going into the season. We saw Carson Steele was also still available. Now we will just go quick by position here as we get to defensive tackle. Any offensive lineman? Not really. Draymond Jones, though, former Snowhawk, is on the market. More of a DN, though. We need someone to play defensive tackle. Let's just sort by strength. That's usually a good tell of who can play defensive tackle. We do have Zach Seiler here, someone we considered in the preseason. Also, Tremaine Gibbons. He's only 25 years old at 73 overall. Power rusher. That is interesting. We'll take a look at his player card as he comes back. 82 power move with 68 block shed, 87 strength, with that finesse move at just 58. Obviously, he's more of a power rusher, but You would still like that to be a little bit higher. Going over to defensive tackle entirely now is Levi Onwuzurike is tied here with Kenny Clark, both 74 overall run stoppers. And I was hoping someone a little more impactful would present themselves at this point. We may just end up going with Kwity Paye as our like fourth string defensive tackle. There's DeForest Buckner, but now all the way down to a 71 overall. No one else really piquing my interest at this point. Again, at right end, we'll sort by strength as we get Juan Lamb, Glenn Bowens, John Franklin Myers. I was hoping more of like a speed rusher, but not going to be the case. Also, Rashawn Williams, he's a rookie at 23 years old out of UConn, another power rusher though, as he comes back with 78 speed, 87 strength, 75 power. No block shed though, so if we were going to go for a guy, I do like that player at left end, I believe. He was like a 73 here. Tremaine Givens, 6'6", 308 out of Wake Forest. And for player tag, it does say future starter. We'll just keep going down the line real quick. Andrew Van Ginkel had 15 sacks for us last year, but without a home now after seeing huge regression. Cole Holcomb was the Super Bowl MVP going back to year 3 as the Broncos won that one. 78 overall. Olukun, he might find a home along with Frankie Luva. Logan Wilson, also pretty decent. Kyer Elam, 80 overall at 27 years old. Safeties, really nothing doing here at free safety, nothing at strong safety either. So that is the free agent class right now. Usually there's a cut a little more impactful. Najee Harris cut from the Steelers is pretty big, but otherwise nothing else of note. I think we will just go ahead and sign Tremaine Givens real quick. We'll put him at defensive tackle and see how he comes back. I do like that 68 block shed, decent to work off of with good power move and good strength as well. So Tremaine Givens, welcome to the Salt Lake City Snowhawks as our last man on the roster. For some reason it was showing we had 52. I thought we were at 53, but I guess putting Gilmore on the IR messed with that. But this is where I'm going to leave you folks. Thank you so much for watching and sticking it out here in this year 5 preseason. Big things on the horizon for our Salt Lake City Snowhawks as we look to get back to the Super Bowl, but more importantly, we aim to win it this time, as just 5 years in, already emerging as one of the best teams here in the NFC, as we've been stringing together tremendous off seasons, hitting in the draft, signing some key free agents, most notably this year, Humphrey, as he'll take over as the centerpiece on offense, and also Terrion Arnold at corner, as he'll form a tremendous tandem with superstar Nathan Scruggs. In the next episode, we're going to have a preview episode here for year 5 as we go down the roster and really dissect what we're working with on each side of the ball. We'll also take a look around the NFL and see what teams are towards the top at this stage now in year 5. A lot of turnover on a lot of these rosters as we'll get reacclimated with these teams and get a preview of what to expect here in year 5. And we'll also pay a heavy preview for the NFC West, our division rivals, as we're going to preview the San Francisco 49ers as we're set for battle with them in week 1 of this year 5 season on Monday Night Football. But as always, everybody, it's been real and be well. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.